remember Red Dead Redemption 2? No, I don't mean do you just remember the name. Do you remember Red Dead Redemption 2? Do you remember the fog rolling over the grizzlies? The sound of hooves and gunshots? The sun rising and blanking the sky above? Here's another question. What makes a game great? It's a question with a different answer for everybody. Some might say it's gameplay, others might say it's community, most will say it's a combination of a lot of things. YouTube essays, podcasts, and much more are always participating in this debate. What has become the greatest game ever? It is such a subjective answer, and yet we constantly argue with our friends about what it is. And as fun as those debates are, this video isn't about the greatest game, or the greatest story, or even the greatest community in gaming. No, instead this video is about a single moment that forever changed my view of games. A moment that showed me how to conclude a story perfectly. A moment that made me cry for the first time ever playing a game. A moment that created the best protagonist I've ever met. This is the story of one moment, one song, and one person standing unshaken amidst a crashing world.
May I stand unshaken amidst the crash of world. May I stand unshaken amidst the crash of world.
It has been almost 6 years since Red Dead Redemption 2 was released. In that time, approximately 13,790 games were released to Steam. It sits among 73,000 other games, and ranks itself at number 42 of Steam's most popular games ever. And that is only on the Steam platform. It is no secret that Red Dead Redemption 2 is regarded as one of the best video games of all time, and continues to have an active player base to this day. But setting all of that aside, this game has some incredibly powerful moments and statements.
I see. Jumpy, yeah! Uh-oh. Did I do that? I might have done that. That might have been my fault.
How is this mission still like this is... What, the boat's on fire?
Back in the open country of the West, or what's left of it, but well, even that ain't the way I remember it.
Whoa, that little... I wasn't expecting that cutscene. That gave me chills.
I have never played a game before where I can so vividly remember specific interactions and cutscenes. It takes me back to when I was younger, to when I first sat down to play a game over Christmas break, ignorant to the life-changing journey I was about to embark on. In fact, I have never played a game before where I still get goosebumps just by thinking about its ending. And, ironically, that is where my story and all of this starts. At the end. I keep a running list of ideas I want to write essays about. It's full of names, basic ideas, and words that barely make sense put together. Here, I was looking for my next topic. After some time and finally thinking I had decided on one, I started brainstorming some possible ideas. But then I get a notification on my computer screen. Red Dead Redemption 2 is 60% off on Steam through June 10th. All of a sudden, I was hit with this massive wave of emotion and nostalgia. And it wasn't like I forgot about this game, I was just talking about it with friends a couple days ago. Yeah, I remember this game. It was one of my favorite games on Xbox I ever played. It was nice reminiscing. I could see these images flashing in front of my eyes in incredible detail. I saw the sunrise shining across Arthur, the hum of voices, a stag standing alone in a field. The last time I played this game, I hadn't even graduated high school yet. I didn't think twice and purchased the game. But just because an ending to a game is memorable doesn't make it the greatest ending in video game history. That is quite the claim to make, and keep in mind, it's highly opinionated as well. But the ending of Red Dead Redemption 2 serves as much more than just a conclusion. You see, the fundamental premise of the Red Dead games is the cycle of violence. With every act committed by the player, regardless of if they are in control or not, consequences are bound to arise later. Every character you spare has the chance to take advantage of you, and every character you kill will impact your overall moral leaning. This is not only an incredible gameplay aspect and common storytelling technique, but it gives the ending of the game much more weight when it changes based on these actions. There are 4 of these endings, each following a series of deliberate choices the player makes. Kill a lot of people and your story will end as it began, lacking redemption. Spare lives and your story will redeem itself, but not in the way you intended. Already, Red Dead Redemption 2 stands out from its single-player counterparts because its endings have an incredible weight to them. Furthermore, the metaphorical stance these endings take is something that isn't talked about nearly enough. For the purpose of this video, I will mostly be discussing one ending in particular, which is by far the most memorable ending of the 4 and the one I got when I first played the game: dying with honor.
All right, Arthur, come on, let's go.
You go.
Keep pushing, Arthur.
No. No. I think I've pushed all I can.
Come on.
You go.
We ain't got time for this, not now.
We ain't both gonna make it. Go. Now. I'll hold them off. It would mean a lot to me. Please. There ain't no more time for talk. Go.
Arthur.
Go to your family.
Arthur!
Get the hell out of here and be a goddamn man.
You're my brother.
I know.
I will never forget that final fight atop the mountain. The moonlit sky and the sound of Arthur barely holding on to life saying goodbye to John. Just after, the fist fight between Arthur and Micah was so nerve-wracking, even though I already knew what was coming. It was so hard saying goodbye to Arthur, and the game gives you one last battle before taking you away from the character you've played for over 50 hours in-game.
Oh, Black Lung. You ain't gonna reach that gun. You ain't.
The sound of the violin playing as you crawl across the dirt towards your gun, Micah taunting your weakness. It's miserable to watch.
Despite my best efforts to the contrary, it turns out I've won.
It feels unfair, unjustified, and yet we can't do anything about it but hopelessly spam a button in hopes to crawl faster. And then Dutch stops the fighting.
It is over. Now, Arthur. It's over. Oh, Dutch.
This is the moment where my jaw dropped, when a great ending got even better and even more painful. The man who raised you stood by your side only to become corrupted by the very man that is trying to kill you is now stopping you from killing that man. Stopping you from redeeming your story. I didn't even notice that the music had completely stopped. let's go back.
Alright. Red Dead Redemption 2. I played through this game before about 6 years ago. This is the first time I am playing through it again. I miss it a lot. I'm already getting some flashbacks here just listening to the music and everything about this game. Okay, let's get into it.
Upon purchasing this game, of course I started playing it immediately. This was the first time I'd played it in years, and the nostalgia that hit me when that title screen popped up was something I don't think I'll ever forget. When I loaded into the game, the first thing that grabbed my attention was how beautiful it still looks. I don't know how they did it, but the graphics are just unmatched in quality and performance. And then something else grabbed my attention. The first sound you hear within the story is a short bowing from a violin. Shortly after, the first mission you go on is finding Micah with Dutch. In case you haven't noticed it yet, the entire game's beginning and ending mirror one another. It's storytelling genius and uses the power of first impressions to immediately play with your emotions as the player. However, this story is also structurally sound in its moral reasoning. You, along with the rest of Dutch's gang, are on the run after a heist gone bad in Blackwater, a heist that was bloody and uncalled for. As the player, this is our first introduction to the cycle of violence that will perpetuate itself for the rest of the story. Just a few minutes later, this cycle of violence is much more hands-on as the game teaches you to kill, protecting Dutch from a member of the O'Driscoll gang. From this action, you both get to choose to spare one of their lives after being attacked in a barn, and also rescue Sadie Adler shortly after, who is being held hostage by the O'Driscolls. Within the tutorial level of this game, your decisions are proven to be costly, for better and for worse. One of these decisions, although minor, still slightly affects the ending you will see in Arthur. It shows you that Arthur isn't just a simple protagonist, but a man torn between two worlds, that of an outlaw and that of a redeemer. Beyond parallelism, the entirety of this game burdens itself upon Arthur Morgan's shoulders. The player can make any decision they want while playing as Arthur, and subsequently can determine Arthur's fate however they choose. All of these decisions are judged by a scale ranging from moral redemption, represented by the stag, to moral distrust, represented by the wolf. After completing each chapter of the story in game, the player is shown one of these animals, symbolizing your moral philosophy and serving as a reminder of your actions. What makes this relationship between character, morals, and player control even more interesting is how the story has quite the hands-off approach in determining your character's fate.
You're welcome.
Get rid of all of this? The train?
Yeah, get it out of here.
About them.
What do you think? It's up to you. Kill them, leave them here, take them with you on the train. Just make sure they don't send no folk after us.
Okay.
See you back at camp. When you get back, we'll be moving on.
This game
The
gives
rest
you
of
lots of choices.
Let's ride.
I could kill him, it'd be kind of funny, but also I feel bad. Homie's dressed, Peaky Blinders.
Certain missions that are optional will help elevate your rapport with strangers, while others will strengthen your bond with the gang. Helping a stranger on the side of the road might take time away from the main story, but will reward your character with new connections and possible satisfaction. Killing an O'Driscoll member instead of letting him go will strengthen your bond with Dutch, but show your inability to spare a human life. When I first was given that option to let him go, I had to. But that was only because of one major factor in this playthrough. I knew how the story ended.
Wait, is that someone coming towards us?
up ahead. Who's there? Micah.
Fuck you.
Gentlemen. Found
Fuck.
anything?
The replayability of Red Dead Redemption 2 is something that takes storytelling mastery to achieve. For a 50-hour-long campaign, you not only have to keep things so interesting that it brings players back, but also give its story a conclusion that doesn't drive the player away. It depends much on how the game is played, where a conclusion must complete the main motif of the story while also providing enough friction with the player that they remember its outcome wholeheartedly. Stories in general often fall into the trap where their endings aren't that memorable, which can deteriorate the story's longevity for revisits in the future. To play devil's advocate here for a second, this isn't always a bad thing. In fact, sometimes forgetting the ending makes the experience of consuming that media feel like it's the first time again. However, it is much more satisfying, in my opinion, to have an ending so impactful that you can't help but experience the media completely differently upon revisit. So, let's break this down real quick. The noble ending of Red Dead Redemption 2 completes a main motif. This motif is one that was around since the very beginning, the cycle of violence. We conclude this motif with a final battle before forces out of our control end the cycle. It's painful, but it is the only way for the cycle to stop. The player certainly wasn't going to. But that isn't the only motif that is concluded here either. If we look beyond the small scale of our characters and their adventures, this motif falls under a massive umbrella regarding westward expansion in the United States, a crashing of worlds. Whether it be the infant country expanding itself to follow the sun, our gang fleeing towards a civilization that outnumbers and outguns them, or a native people being forced from their homes and their land, this world is crashing. The story meanders the player through all of these issues, starting with gang-related quarrels, continuing with westward ideology clashes, and ending with a glimpse of redemption. This glimpse of redemption is what adds our second piece that is vital to creating a memorable ending: a feeling of friction.
Micah, what the hell do you think you're doing? Whoa, look what I found in the cellar! Wild thing, ain't ya? Leave her alone! I wasn't doing nothing. She's one of them O'Driscolls. No, she ain't, Micah. Look at her. Miss, are you...
God.
Oh, you fool! Micah!
Fucking hate Micah so much.
Now, it is gonna be okay. We mean you no harm. Miss. Come on. It'll be okay. We need to get out of here, and quick.
Micah masterclass, bro. Fucking dumbass.
After completing the tutorial level of this game, reminding me of everything I needed reminding of, I had a deep hatred brewing inside of me. Revisiting Dutch, you can already tell his bizarre leniency towards Micah, while Arthur is just left to watch. Seeing Micah continuously try and tear the group apart while simultaneously becoming closer with Dutch is agony. On the first playthrough, I didn't like Micah, but I also didn't know completely how much of a monster he really was. On the second playthrough, every time he was on screen, I wanted to kill him. I wanted to take advantage now before Dutch could lay his foot down across my revolver and kill the man that would end up destroying everything. But you can't. The game makes you restart from your last checkpoint. There is nothing you can do but watch. As I mentioned earlier, weight is added to the story with each decision the player makes having a ramification unseen at the end of the game. This serves as a vital ingredient to creating this friction I am talking about. How this story ends without Arthur killing Micah is one of the most painful emotional experiences I have ever had playing a game. He gets away with it. corrupts Dutch, continues off on his way, and leaves Arthur to die upon the mountain. As the player who has now fully encompassed all of there is of Arthur, taking away redemption in a game where it is literally in the title is a brave decision. Sure, it ends the cycle of violence, but it leaves us saying, why us? And this would have been certainly a memorable ending that could have become one of the greatest endings ever in retrospect. But just when you believe this game has shown you everything, when your bloody and dying character takes his last breaths, and the snake gets away and the man who raised you abandons you and the world is shifted into a new age, the silence is filled. And just like that, you created the best ending in video game history. The music takes our forest fire of anger and frustration and dwindles it into a flickering candle. The lyrics tell us exactly how to feel, just as how Arthur feels, painstakingly trying to stand unshaken amidst a crashing world. All of those missions where you're coughing up blood, trying to repent for the sins you have enacted, trying to help innocent people, they hold weight. This music shows you peace, shows you that you in fact did redeem yourself. Not through violence and revenge, but through reflection. From the very beginning, you were reflecting. Every decision had consequences, and you were reflecting on the actions you were taking. The music of the West toiled with your emotions throughout, both making you feel on top of the world and lost at sea. Your dreams were taken, given, and taken again. And to conclude all of that with this song is the game speaking directly to you. I remember how many of us were worried that we wouldn't be playing as John Marston in this story when we first started playing the game. By the end, I don't think any of us wanted it any other way. The musical chokehold this game has on me is something I carry with me every day. For all of those years I didn't revisit the game, I was begging my friends to play it. Every time I heard its music, I was thrown back into the memories of watching a man try and redeem himself through my actions. When I first played the game, of course I was in love with the music, but what I didn't realize was how it would serve as a time capsule for me. As time passed by, the world crashed into itself. Friends graduated and moved on, and I tried to find myself. This game should have faded from my memory. But because of its music, all of those memorable moments have stuck with me. Whenever I look out and see the Rocky Mountains standing above everything else, I think about the beautiful sound of the West that Rockstar Games implemented into this game. The sound of the West is something that has been carefully crafted in entertainment for a long time now. And to see Rockstar Games use all of its main motifs in this soundtrack makes me so happy. This music, this character, these moments, they will be with me for the rest of my life. I remember Red Dead Redemption 2. I remember the fog rolling over the grizzlies. I remember the stillness of the sunrise blanking the sky above. I remember hoping that on the other side of Arthur's lifeless body, hearing his last dying breaths be taken, that he was smiling. This game has offered me something I can't ever put a price on. Standing unshaken amidst a crashing world.